So let's get started by discussing the difference between parametric and non-parametric models. So this is before even the KNN. In parametric models, or when we say parametric models like the linear regression, we have a model, a machine learning model, and this model will fit the data exactly. For example, it will fit the data using linear regression line, and this is the equation of the line as we discussed. We have y equal wx plus e or plus b or whatever, right? So this is a regression line, or this is a linear line. So we call this a parametric model because we have parameters here, and these parameters are w's, right? So these parameters are what is the machine learning algorithm is trying to find and trying to calculate exactly. So we call this a parametric model. On the other hand, for the non-parametric model, the data tells you what is the regression should look like. For example, we have, instead of y equal wx plus e, we have y equal f of x, a function in x. And this function can be linear, can be non-linear, can be anything. It can in fact be wx, right? It can be reduced to wx, or maybe it can be something more complicated than this. So f of x can be any function. And here I don't mean Python function, I mean mathematical function. So how we can decide this function? We cannot decide it, in fact. The data is what will decide what this function should look like. And using this data, we are going to find this function, right? So each time in the non-parametric models, the data is what will decide how this function should look like. And f of x can be perfectly approximated as an infinite parameter model. So here we can have 10 parameters, we can have 20 parameters, we can have 30 parameters, right? In linear regression, we can have a defined number of parameters. But for the non-parametric models, the number of parameters is unknown. So that's why it's a non-parametric model. We have parameters, yes, we have parameters, but this number of parameters, we cannot know it beforehand. It's decided from the data itself. So for the linear regression and for the logistic regression, we saw that they were in fact parametric models, because even before we input the data, we know how many parameters we have. But here, the number of parameters is decided by the data itself. And if we change the data, the number of parameters will be different. So again, I want to emphasize that when we say parametric models and non-parametric models, this does not mean that for the non-parametric models, we don't have parameters. No, we have parameters. But the number of parameters is decided by the data. So we change the data, we change the number of parameters. Okay, so I hope this is clear. In the next lesson, we are going to see how we can explore the iris dataset, how we can perform some data pre-processing and data exploration before we start learning KNN itself. So let's go.